Hey guys, I'm Paul. My last name's Kroom. Some of you may have heard my name before. I knew Aajonus 23 years. It turns out 23 years to the exact day he died. I met him August 27th, 1990. I was 18 years old and moved to California to be an actor. I was an actor. Aajonus and I used to read back and forth. He was my roommate. I moved to California and was a roommate of two older gentlemen. I was 18 from New Jersey. If anyone's ever seen TV, New Jersey is very much like that. And when I came to California, I had two roommates. One was a spiritual healer who put his hands in people for psychic surgery. I thought he was crazy. And Aajonus, who I met Aajonus August 27th, walked in the front door of the house. He's standing in jeans, no shoes, no shirt, eating a raw chicken leg. It begged a question, and I said, hi, I'm Paul. He said, hi, I'm Aajonus. I said, sorry? I said, Aajonus. I said, Aajonus. I said, okay. Now I went back to New Jersey, drove my car back across country, and landed back at that house. And the next morning woke up, and I had a friend for the rest of my life. We played cards together every night. I always won. I don't think it was all skill. I think he saw an 18-year-old kid who was a little scared and let me win a little bit more than I should have. Everyone's told stories of Aajonus a little bit. Everyone mostly knows him from food when he became what I call Captain Nutrition. This is kind of my fault a little bit. When we were roommates, he had this script, this movie script called We Want to Live. And I read it and I thought it was totally a lie. I said, there's no way this is true. And he said, no, it's totally true. As months and years go on, I came to believe him. But one day, he actually was reading me for an April Webster audition I had at Warner Brothers, and I was running late. He said, I'll drive you. I said, great. Now, if anyone's ever been in a car with Aajonus, you have, I swear to God, a 50-50 chance of living through the experience. Swear to God. It was a black Audi, I believe, that he always used to work on himself. And he took me to Warner Brothers, and somewhere in La Brea, we went up on a curb and he lost his mirror. And I'm from New Jersey, and as a kid, I drive like an idiot. And I looked over and I said, you lost your mirror? And he said, I wasn't using it. And he just kept going down the curb. Now I thought to myself, by the time I get to this audition, I'm going to be scared to death. Worked out okay, actually. I didn't get the part, but April always remembered me. So I've known him a really long time. I knew him before this, and actually helped make this poster, and it sat in my house for a long time until, I guess, Louis stole. I said I can't have this in my house anymore, so it was in Louis's house. But that script, We Want to Live, as my career started to establish, he said we should make it in a movie. We'll make it in a movie. We'll both direct it. I said, but it's an unbelievable story. I said, it'd be better as a book, really. And he said, I never thought of that. I said, think about it. And then he said, I'll revise some things. And he wrote some things, made it a little different. And then he said, read it, tell me what you think. And I read it, and I said, he had patience, but not really. I knew him when he would wake up every morning, and some days he would write all day. Some days he would go down to Venice Beach and read tarot cards. And then come home and write all night. I knew a very different person, and that was always my relationship with him, always. It was always rooted in that moment and those things. But that book that I'm assuming everyone's read, or everyone's at least heard of, I've heard a few people actually say, he made us read the book first. That's my fault too. Because when we actually published the book, he said, I'm getting these patients, but they think I'm nuts. Like no one will do what I tell them to do. And I said, well, make them read the book first, because then if they think you're crazy, then they won't hire you. They won't want to talk to you about nutrition. But if they read the book and they're still willing after the book, you didn't waste your time. That's a good idea. And I think that policy was in effect till literally the day he died. So, sorry. If anyone has any questions, by the way, as time goes on, because he did have some trust, they will continue. Right now, his computer came back from Thailand, and I have it. And interestingly enough, as everyone knows him fairly well, to very well, his computer, the user was called Lovingly. His hard drive was called Healthfully. And some of the other things in it are funny. You know, ironically, there's little things he used to say to me that are actually titled in folders. So I'm thinking, what are those folders? Terrified to click on them. But I'm finding more and more things. To my wife, who's in the back, I was shocked. Aajonus was very much like a father to me. He quite literally was my father. And when we had our child, he became her grandfather. And he used to yell at me about not bringing her to see him. When I opened his computer, he had 1,000 folders. I mean, it's like, oh my God, am I going to have to look through this? 1,000 folders. But he had 5 at the top that had A-something. And they were all amazing things. I mean, suing the government for hating people and stuff like this. But one of the 5 folders was my daughter's name. So every picture, every video, every correspondence, everything I'd ever sent, he kept. And when you look at the computer, he looked at it almost every day. That's okay. You'll get the notes from a friend. No. He was a good man, we all know that, but he was a man. And he found this when he was a kid, and he learned more about it all the time. And really, you're the reason he was successful. You are all the experiment by which he became successful. It's just true. I mean, when the book was out, you know, the book was revised in 2005. He was adamant that it has to be revised. I said, well, it's going to cost money. We have all these books. No, I have to revise it. He learned more, and that's all your fault. So everything that goes off into the world to other people, fights and cures and things, it's really all your fault. He just listened to you. That's all. No one ever listened to him. So that's the thing he learned. Just listen. So really, all of this, everything he did, the most full life I ever saw a human being on earth live, is all of our fault. So you can all give yourself a hand because he can't die. It's not possible. He just can't be argued with anymore. And I argued with him a lot. So, it's all your fault, guys.